allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Present.
Coe.
Here.
Wilczewski. Here. Pat.
Here.
Munns. Funkhauser.
Here.
Spears.
Present.
Teeling.
Here.
We have quorum.
Do we have any amendments to tonight's agenda? No amendments. We'll go right into presentations. We have two RFP openings, one for Lot 6 Van Emmon Street, and one for 111 West Madison Street, the old jail.
We do have one sealed bid for each one, so if you'll bear with me, I will open the Lot 6 one first, read it aloud, and then make it available for copies. On it? Yes, please. That would make things a lot more exciting. It looks to be a packet of materials from Imperial Investments. And if you'll give me a second, I will scroll through it real quick, see if I can summarize it for you.
Yeah, we will be discussing both of them later on in the agenda under economic development.
Okay, so it is a 4-page, looks like purchase contract with an exhibit on the back end of it. And I do not see a dollar amount explicitly called out, but I will copy it and disperse it here. That way everybody can read it themselves. So it looks to be some sort of development proposal. And I'll open the second one.
This is on the old jail.
This is on the old jail, correct. Also from Imperial Investments, looks to be in the same format. It's actually a 3-page proposal with an exhibit on the back end. And there does not appear to be an actual dollar amount purchase price. Let's see here. I do see section 3, it says, to provide a further commitment in Yorkville's downtown, they're committing an amount of $250,000 for repair, improvements, and developments of the site. So it looks like they're proposing to take it over and renovate it as opposed to purchase it for a dollar amount. But again, that's just for my immediate review of it. So I'll make copies of it and pass it around to everybody, and then we can talk about it in a few minutes.
We're going to hand it off, someone else can make copies,
Yes.
because we're going to go right into the tax levy presentation. Okay, we do have 2 public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is for downtown Yorkville Business District Development Plan. We'll enter to public hearing for that. Jamie, do you want to do a brief synopsis?
Under the Business District Development and Redevelopment Act, it's actually the law, there is a provision that if an area, commercial area, is in any way blighted, by blighted there's a specific definition, meaning it's lacking in streets, public infrastructure, certain issues that are, should be addressed, building code violations, etc. The designation of a business district as a blighted area authorizes the municipality to impose up to 1% of additional sales tax. The sales tax, however, cannot be put into the general fund, but must be used for specific projects to improve the so-called blighted area. It's been proposed that a portion of our downtown be designated a business district so that the city council would have the ability to consider an additional sales tax that would be solely used for the specific area. Within the plan, and I hope, Christy, we have a map of the, did you bring a map of the district? It is an area that is described within the plan, designated area. And it's generally bounded by
47?
It's hydraulic on the north,
Right.
ahead.
Van Emmett on the south, 47 on the east, and 195 feet behind to the west,
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
The parcels are owned by a single entity who in fact has requested that this city council consider this proposal.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on downtown Yorkville Business District Development Plan? Hearing none, we'll close public hearing. Next, we will open the public hearing on the tax levy. Our city administrator, Mr. Olson, has a brief presentation, and then we'll take public comments on our tax levy. Greg, you want to shut off this front set of lights? Good enough. No, it's not really. The other switch, try the other one. That help out, is that better? I did use it for my presentation at the ladies' seat and I didn't play it. It worked when I brought it back.
Laura, your computer is probably faster. See if I can email this to you. Are you connected to the network up here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
The older version is just also very slow.
that's fine.
Plug in your input one on the projector, Bert?
What's that?
Input one on the projector?
Yeah. Right. Maybe we want to skip to the different items and then come back and
Well, let's just want to wing it without the PowerPoint.
I can do that too, actually.
Just wing it, I mean, PowerPoint's the same as last year.
Okay, so, as the mayor stated, it's a similar PowerPoint presentation, so we'll get it up online, and I appreciate everybody bearing with me. So, like I said, it's been a couple of years since we've had technical difficulties with PowerPoint, so it's probably overdue. So this is a public hearing on the property tax extension limitation law. This is actually required by law, and we're doing this because the city wants your input on our property tax extension. So the most important thing we can tell everybody about property taxes is we always ask for more than we think we're going to get. So we asked for about $3.5 million last year, and it came in May, was finalized at only 3.4. So we've talked about this each year. The reason we do this is PTEL law, so it's Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, bases what city can collect off of what you collect last year. So if we collect $1 million one year, and then the next year we decide all of a sudden we only think we need $200,000, our next year's increment is based off of that $200,000. It doesn't matter what you did 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's only what you did the year prior, factoring in CPI, so Consumer Price Index, and new growth. So this year we are requesting, now this is only under the PTEL law, about $3.65 million in property taxes for all of the city's operations, admin, finance, community development, streets, police, parks and recreation, and we think that we're going to get about $3.55 million. So again, we're asking for more than we think that we're going to get. So none of these figures include any money for the library or debt associated with property taxes, which we talked about a couple years ago. We had to not abate some debt, and that's why property taxes went up 2 years ago the way they did. So we are hoping to get about $100,000 more than we got last year. The only reason that we're requesting that is because we need to make sure that we catch up on our police pension funding. For anybody that's been following us for the past couple years, we've had some issues with police pension funding, just not funding it to the yearly amount based on our own actuarial assumptions. And if we don't match that dollar amount by fiscal year 15 or fiscal year 16, the state will actually come to us and take away some of our state revenues to make sure that we meet that to 100%. So everything that we're asking for in our corporate levy is going to go towards police pensions. So we tried to do a little bit of a property tax bill calculation. Everything is relative to your neighbor, to property tax values across the city. So based on our own assumptions, if you paid about $780 last year to the city and to the library, now that includes debt, library bonds, library construction, library operations, and city taxes, $780 last year, and your property value goes down 6% this year, which is about average, you're going to pay $778. So that's a $2 decrease, actually. And if your property value goes down 10%, which we have seen some people do, the average has been, like I said, between 6 and 10%. We're expecting it to go between the city and library down about $38. It'll go from $780 to $742. If you're one of the unfortunate people that actually had your property reassessed and the property value went up, let's say 3%, your city library tax bill will go from about $780 last year to $858 this year. Again, that's because you're seeing an increase, you have a larger share of the pie when everybody else is seeing a decrease. And if your property value stayed the same, just because everybody else is seeing a decrease citywide, your property tax bill will probably go up $780 to $832 total. So an increase of about 52. And again, it's all relative. One thing that we want to make sure is the city's property tax bill is only about 10% of your total property tax bill. So I've got a nice pie chart that I was going to show everybody. Obviously, you'll have to imagine it. But it shows the school district, like a $5,200 tax bill is $3,300 worth of your tax bill. The cities is $400, the libraries is $173, Kendall County's is about $400, Wabansi's is $275, Bristol Road District is $150, BKFD itself is about $450. So we try to give everybody a good context compared to other governmental entities. So the numbers, because property values are going down, and we're asking for a little bit more than we asked for last year in the operations rate, means that the rate is going to go up. It's just simple math. So the thing that we want to make sure is, even though the rate is going up, the amount that we're actually asking for overall between the library and the city is actually going down 2.5% is what we're calculating. So, and again, your property tax bill is going to be dependent on what you do compared to everybody else in the city. So your neighbor, the business across the street, if you see a big property tax or property value decrease and everybody else sees only a small decrease, your property tax bill is going to go way down. But if you see an increase or you see a small decrease and everybody else gets the big decrease, your property tax bill is going to go way up. So it's all relative. And then I walked through a couple different scenarios. If anybody remembers from last year, it's Mr. Condos, his family, Uncle Penny Bags. It just shows that, you know, if the neighbor across the street who has the big house gets a significant decrease in their property assessment, your tax bill is going to go up because you're going to have a bigger share of the pie. So we just want to make that clear. So one of the questions we get is, why do you need more money? And again, we have to hold the property tax public hearing because our corporate levy, our operations levy is going up, even though our overall tax levy is going to go down. So between library, bonds, and city, we're going down. Because the city portion is going up slightly, we have to hold the public hearing. So again, all the property tax revenue is going towards police pension funding. And another reason we ask for more is because it's based off of the prior year's levy. So that's important to remember from an operational perspective. Long term, we still have Route 47. It just started. We haven't seen a bill for it yet. We've got that over the next 10 years. Game Farm Road, which we have not started, other than engineering, that we're hoping to start in about fiscal year 15. That's a $7 million project. We've got $2.5 million worked out from the federal government, so we have to figure out a way to spend or to fund $4.5 million on Game Farm Road. River Road Bridge, yes, we've got a county loan, but we still are responsible for paying that back over 6 years, even with no interest. And then kind of the big thing hanging over everybody's heads is we start our road maintenance program that we just finished the study. We're hoping to have a preliminary presentation on that actually next week at Public Works. But that could be another $1 to $2 million per year obligation, depending on what level we want to fund our road maintenance at. Also, you've got water debt, sewer debt we've talked about a lot in the past couple of years. I won't get into that too much further. And then all the recapture payments associated with those developers. So even though this year, this past year was relatively good for us, we're projecting that this year is going to be good. We do a 5-year budget for a reason, so that we don't get into the same situation we were a couple of years ago. So we're really trying to work or look long term. And then the most important answer to that, why do you need more money, is we don't actually. Like I said, our overall levy between the city, the bonds, and the library is actually going to decrease by about 2.5%. It's just because the city's portion is going up a small amount. Is the reason we have to have the public hearing. So please note when you're looking at this on the PowerPoint or in the packets, all these materials are in the city council packets. All these are estimates. We're not going to know the actual tax rate, property assessments until May when everybody gets through their appeals and the county does the calculations. And the city council isn't voting on this tonight. We have to file it with the county clerk by the end of December, the last Tuesday in December to be exact. And so there's still time for your input, whether it's tonight, whether you email the council members individually, or over the next couple weeks, there's still time for your input. So with that, I appreciate your patience with the technology, and I will turn it over.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Do we have any members of the audience that would like to comment on tax levy for public hearing purposes? Yes, sir. Please state your name for the record and sign in. Yes.
Jesse on Colonial Parkway. Your Honor, first of all, I would just like to keep it short, so I would like to ask, can we email you our opinions and our feelings, and they'd still be entered into the record?
Absolutely. Put on there that you would like to enter into the record, and we can do that.
Okay. Then if it's okay, I would just try to cut it short and reduce it to that.
That's fine, Jesse. There's no problem with that, right?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Is there any other members of the audience who would like to comment on the tax levy for public hearing purposes? Seeing none, hearing none, we will go ahead and close public hearing. Next, we have citizen comments for agenda items. If there's any citizens that would like to comment on an item that is on the agenda before the city council today, please come forward and sign in and state your name for the record. I see a hand back there. Is that Ms. Patton?
Stephanie Todd. I spoke to you last night at the city council meeting, and I pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. However, I'll make this really short. I understand that you've got the RFP, and can I ask you a procedural question?
Sure.
All right, when you have this come back up on the agenda, will you be taking action on those?
Well, usually, I don't think we'll be good tonight. This would be good. And we're in a position to vote on it tonight, Mark?
We hadn't contemplated it, we didn't put a motion in the packet.
In that case, we would have to come back with a sales agreement. I mean, what we will do probably is discuss it and give staff direction tonight. But I don't think anything will be finalized tonight. There won't be a vote on a sales contract or anything like that. That will have to come back, correct?
Yeah, that was our intent, was that a sales agreement would be drafted and brought back to a future meeting, depending on the direction of the council.
I'm sure we will discuss it and get a consensus.
I thought that the RFP said you also do that for them. Thank you. Because when I talked to you last month, I said I was not opposed to selling the jail. I think it'd be wonderful. These old buildings, if they're not put into some kind of use, there's not much point in saving them. What I'm worried about is because it is such a historic building, that there aren't any precautions taken to make sure that this owner, the buyer, who should decide to sell it, or any future owners that he or she might decide to sell to, that they respect the property for what it is, and that they have in place some protections to see that it's done, any restoration on best practices. I don't know how much research you were able to do in that short time, but if this property is eligible for the National Register, and I have someone from the state checking that out today, buyer will qualify for a 20% federal tax credit to restore this building. It's not a tax exemption. It's a dollar-for-dollar reduction in the amount of federal income taxes that are due, up to 20% of the purchase price. You can leverage those funds with some other incentives. And as I said, I don't think it's any time to think about that. But I think that that's going to make the property certainly attractive to either this potential buyer or maybe other potential buyers. And I'd like to see, and I'm glad that you will, hold off for at least a month. Let's give this guy from the State Historic Preservation Agency a chance to see what he comes up with. And I'd like to contact you again and see if maybe we couldn't set something up that he could meet with you, answer your questions, you could pick his brain, and then go about the business the way you intend to do. Thank you.
Howard Manti of Yorkville City. I'd like to speak to the jail issue. In a word, I was disappointed to hear several months ago that you decided to abandon the original plan of restoring the building and turning it into a museum. Several of the volunteers in the last few years have spent quite a few hours trying to restore some of the structure. And of course, we had two very successful fundraisers for that purpose. With the recent improvements in our downtown that all of us see on a daily basis with construction, preserving the historic building is even more important than ever today. While researching the building's history, as you may know, I learned that our jail has a twin, a building built in the same year by the same company down in Louisville, Illinois. I went down and paid a visit to the folks, and that town did preserve their building, and it's just a fine museum. If you have any interest in drawing a postcard along, I can ask that.
Would you please, I'd like to see it.
Basically, I never heard of the town of Louisville, Illinois before, so it was a new experience. But basically, if there's anything we want to know about that town, it's in this building. We don't have such a thing in Yorkville. Again, that was the original purpose of the purchase of the building. So I, for one, and perhaps other of the volunteers, we look forward to working with the buyer should the building be sold, and sharing our research that we've done on the building so far, and in particular about the various families, the various sheriff families that lived in the facility. We even had a taped interview of one of the then children who was raised while their father was sheriff at the time. Lastly, I'd be interested in learning what the plans are should the building be sold for the funds that were raised at this Halloween fundraiser event over the last few years, funds that haven't fully been spent yet. Thanks a lot.
The folks in Louisville don't want to come here.
They're pretty proud of that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any other citizen comments on agenda items? Mr. Witt?
I'm Randy Wick with Raging Waves. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for your work. I was up here before a while back, 6 weeks ago approximately, in regards to the Aurora CVB. Just want to state our feelings, or opinions, if you will, again, about how strong we feel about how important that is for our businesses and other businesses as well. But selfishly speaking, and I will freely admit that it is important for our business to reach out, to expand as much as we can, understand what could possibly be taking place on that tonight. And a lot of things we have going on with the Aurora CVB that we've got some how would you say, some kind of cars going down the track on some important issues for us. Signage is one of them, downstate packages, things like that, of that nature. And we'd just like to see that continue going on. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I really, truly do thank you guys for your work here. We couldn't have picked a better city to place this thing in, but just want you to know how important we feel it is to continue on the Aurora CVB and the partnership with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Witt. Yes, sir, John?
I know I've spoken past as well. My name's Darrell Weesey with the Hampton Inn here in Yorkville. And one of the big things I just wanted to reiterate is we don't really have a problem with the 5-year term. The money that comes and is supporting the Aurora CVB is actually brought up by the hotels and the motels in this area. And we don't have any issues with the 5-year term. That's something we want to make sure that you're aware of. And I believe it was brought up in one of the other meetings that we might have had a problem with that, but we don't. We really do support the CVB. We're keeping them on track and making sure that they're working for the community, and that's what we'd like to see in the future is more involvement. So.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen comments? Hearing none, we'll move forward. Oh, I'm sorry.
be a time for people to give information, which you rather than I would talk about.
If you want to wait until that point in the agenda, be happy to recognize you on that.
That's fine.
Okay, nobody else, I will move on to approval of the consent agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Hilshewski.
Aye.
Coe.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council for October 23rd, 2012, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Hilshewski.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Coe.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we do have a couple items under mayor's report, compensation of elected officials. I am going to take them in a little bit of reverse order here. I did want to talk about healthcare first, and then we'll talk about compensation. Obviously, the healthcare has been a controversial issue since the election, and I know myself and a couple other people have talked about bringing it forward, but I kind of put it on the back burner. I didn't really realize that this is the last meeting that we could act on it before the next election until I was reading the Beacon about Laura looking to change the mayor's pay. So that has to be done for this meeting. So I would have brought it to admin committee, but time is of the essence on this one. So when I thought about this, I thought, this was a benefit that was offered to elected officials, and it's just not right to just pull it away, in my opinion. I think the fairest way to eliminate this is to phase it out, to kind of get rid of it through attrition. And that's what I offered up in this ordinance. Was that people who have it now would be grandfathered in, newly elected officials will get it, and you only get it as long as you're in your current position. And with that, I heard a lot of discussion from people in the community saying, give them the health care and give everyone a raise. It's a fair thing to do. So that's why I brought both of these two forward in the same meeting. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending the compensation of elected officials regarding insurance coverage and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
Second.
Okay, comments or questions on health insurance? And we could talk about them together, separately, either way. So, Ms. Wachowski.
I'm glad to see this come forward. I just have one, kind of criticism. In section 1, C number 1, you're saying that, say I have health insurance, I run for office, I get elected again, I would still get to retain that health insurance?
Correct, the way it is.
I guess I feel that if we should make a clean cut of it. That as attrition, as everybody leaves, that's it, it's not offered, it doesn't carry forward. Down the line, you might just have one elected official and none of the others being able to take that. It's my opinion that if you go run for another term, you had insurance, you get elected, that it would be over. But you would have it to your next term.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like I said, I thought this was the fairest way. I thought this was the way to get everyone on board with it and phase it out over time. I don't want them to change it for people.
And I understand that. I think though down the line, it's conceivable you could just have one person having it out of 8 or 9 people.
That's true.
And it could go on for years.
They could, as long as that person is re-elected, it could go on for years.
In my mind, I'd like to see the call an end to it. If we're going to end it, let's just make a cut somewhere and not just have it drag on for years.
You are more than welcome to make a motion at that, a motion to amend it. You can do it now or when we have some further discussion. But, before the meeting, I'm not bringing on your parade here with Alderman Cott. I thought I had an excellent suggestion. And he's talking about the meeting. I don't know if you want to talk about it there.
I think this is a half a step in the right direction. Doesn't solve our full problem here. And I agree with Alderwoman Machewski saying, I'd like to see a sunset provision be added to this.
So that at some point, we're saying, this is the end. And I could support it where we would say, okay, the person running in the April election that they're currently getting it can continue it through that term, but after that term's over, that's it. And in light of the president's affordable health insurance plan, this may be a moot point. It may be available to everybody anyways. But I think we have to cut this off. We just can't keep it going indefinitely. And I would support this ordinance with the provision that we have a sunset clause in it. And I'm throwing out the date of April 2017, which will be 4 years after the next election.
How much, you talk about savings, you know, phase this out, the staff, I mean, like, what would say if you do it your way, then Larry's what we know in 1 year?
Well, currently, I think our current expenditure on healthcare is somewhere in the $100,000 range.
Yeah, it's been as high as 150, it's been as low as 100, it depends on how many people enroll in here.
Right, so.
I agree with Alderman Milszewski that we should phase it out as the elections come up, and then it should be a clean cut then.
Anyone else? Alderman Pierce?
I don't agree with that. I think that once we were elected, and if it doesn't continue, or if it does continue, the residents will vote. If they're not in favor of it, you won't be reelected. And I think the way that, you know, the people have been elected so far, that was something that was included in your serving as an elected official.
Yeah, I mean, I take the insurance, everybody knows that, I've said that before. I've had feedback from my residents both ways. I've had people say that I shouldn't take the insurance. I've had people say, you know, I'm glad to have the insurance. So, you know, I'm kind of open to suggestions, whatever the majority of the council wants to do. I have no problem phasing it out over time like the mayor is proposing. I think that's kind of split maybe in half, to kind of in the middle of the road there. We're not keeping it to a perpetuity, but we're also not making it for somebody who might need it. You know. I like the mayor.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'll say it, generally concur with that. We're not taking something away. This does help us get in the right direction of removing the insurance and its based on elections. So I don't have an issue with that. What I like the sunset clause, that's a good option in there. If it's the choice to amend it, we can look at that. But I think the way it's proposed does make sense in terms of trying to put restrictions to remove the insurance.
Yes, sir.
I think it's the right thing to do, and I kind of favor the sunset clause and do it as possible. That way I think that kind of
Yes.
I'd just like to make a motion to end it at the elections.
You can make a motion.
I'm making that motion. Second.
There was a motion, a second, to amend it to end with the
These terms ending April 2013.
Right, and then the other, or the next one.
and April 2015. Ending with the
Ending with the first one.
Yes, discussion on that motion.
See, if you do it that way, then some old running have 2 extra years going down. We're trying to make this fair to everybody.
But they might have picked it up 2 years later.
Any other discussion on that motion? Okay, now, the motion to end it with current terms of office.
Spears,
Nay.
Munns,
Nay.
Milszewski,
Aye.
Coe,
Hey.
Is that a nay or a yay?
Nay.
Teeling,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Nay.
Pat,
Aye.
Colosimo,
Nay.
Okay, we'll start with 3. Back to the original motion.
Point of order, can I come back with my motion now to, okay, at this point I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance as presented with the inclusion of a sunset provision which ends all health care effective April 30th, 2017, would be 4 years from the next election.
Second.
Discussion on that motion. Yes.
But it would still, the other part of the motion is that there's no insurance for newly elected officials.
This is just the people who are now are grandfathered in, even if they're re-elected, they're done 2017.
I just wanted to make,
It takes out the last part of number 1, which is as long as the person remains elected at office. Take that out and replace it with new language.
Okay, any other comments, questions on the 2017 sunset clause? Roll call, please.
Munns,
Nay.
Olszewski,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Teeling,
Aye.
Bunkhauser,
Nay.
Pat, Colosimo,
Nay.
Spears,
Nay.
Chuck, nay. Nay.
motion to amend fails.
Like I said, guys, I'm back to the original motion. I mean, I think it's the fairest way, and, so any other comments on the original motion? We are doing it, we're doing it baby steps. I mean, it's gonna get done. It's gonna take a little bit longer, and maybe done by 2017, who knows? You may not even need the sunset. Comments or questions on the original motion? Roll call, please.
Spears,
Aye.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Bunkhauser,
Aye.
Teeling,
Nay.
Pope,
Aye.
Olszewski,
Nay.
Munns,
Aye.
motion carries.
I know what everyone's gonna say, you two are for health insurance.
I've never taken it, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that motion passes. Now with that, also threw one in there, like I said, for elected officials' compensation. We, city council has made a raise in 2 years, 2 years, I'm sorry, more like, 5 years, 2007. I think we deserve it. I just threw a number in there, across the board, $2,000. It's entirely up to you. You can go higher, lower, you can go no raise, you can do whatever you want. Like I said, I can look back and what all of you have accomplished for the city in the last year and a half, and I think you deserve it. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance and the compensation of elected officials and authorize the mayor and chief clerk to execute.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Just to clarify that any raise is not for this year, it's not a union.
Correct.
It is following the next election. If anyone is re-elected or newly elected, it does not take immediate effect. This is not something we are voting for, imposing on ourselves today. This is for the future, for those who are elected into office. So we are not actually voting this to ourselves, we're voting it for the next council.
Right. And it wouldn't take effect, for example, anyone whose term ends until after the election in 2024.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just want a couple comments on this. Historically, local public officials have been underpaid for the most part. We're no different than a lot of other towns. The problem I have with this ordinance is, number one, we gave our employees, what, a 2% raise earlier this year, and that was the first raise they've gotten in many years. The percentage here is that we're basically giving Yorkville elected officials is much higher than 2%. It's close to 20% or whatever. I don't support this right now. I'd like to see us maybe bring this back during our budget discussions and review all salaries citywide. And at that point, maybe we can make some kind of a recommendation and an adjustment. But to me, this is too much right now. Times are still tough. We're still trying to get other projects done. And I just can't see supporting this.
Yes, sir. Yeah, along the same line, we have raised pay scales for just about every other department in the city over the past 10 years. We do that every couple of years. The last time we did, we raised pay scales for everybody else except for elected officials. Being fair to the employees, and everybody else says, keep it fair to everybody within that city and surrounding governments and employees. So it's kind of the same concept, whoever the percent is. So what the percent is, the employees getting the pay scales raised, that's fair elected officials.
I'm against this as well as the health insurance too. I'm against. I just don't think that it's necessary. I think that we're serving our community. I mean, it's nice to get that little extra money every month, but I don't think it's necessary to increase it. And then we just voted to continue with insurance for elected officials that currently have it, and they're getting a raise. So I can't support this. Just as elected, I don't support the health insurance.
I agree with Alderman Teeling on it too, that doesn't. The only thing I do like that you put in here was the special meetings.
Special meetings.
I did that just for
Thank you
you.
for clarifying that. So it's kind of gray area.
And even if we do go down raises, I would like to see that special meeting pay changed, because it's ridiculous to make that up.
But I think that I think the majority of us have other jobs, we have other employment, so considering all the other projects we want to get done, and that will be people then maybe retaining that benefit of insurance and getting the raise. I don't support this right now.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I agree, Larry, that we could wait on this until we do our budget discussions, look at it then, evaluate the rest of them. I do think we need to keep in the special meeting one that I believe was an error when it was done, that rate. But I think we move forward with removing the raise and move forward with just the correction on the special meetings. And we address this later at budget discussions.
Yeah, either that, I mean, table it indefinitely, you vote it down, or modify it just to go forward with a special meeting, or we can bring a special meeting one day. There's no rush on it. A special meeting, we do have to get it done tonight, though, don't we?
Correct. In order for it to take effect. I would like to point out, too, that there is an amendment in number 5 and number 6. The deputy clerk and deputy treasurer appointments are currently $2,900. So those are proposed to go up to $4,900 in addition to give them attendance for a meeting attendance. So, for instance, Lisa is here tonight. She's not necessarily getting any extra money other than hours for covering the clerk's duties. So we felt that was fair.
Yes, sir.
I would make a motion then to strike section 1-6-5, section A1, salary increase for mayor, section 1-6-5, salary increase for alderman, and strike those two paragraphs completely. So all salaries would remain the same, but leave paragraphs 3 through 6, adjusting the salaries for the clerk, the treasurer. Strike 3, strike 4, and leave paragraphs 5 and 6, adjusting the clerk's salary, the deputy clerk's salary, and the deputy treasurer's salary, and also fixing the error with the special meetings. So I would strike paragraphs 1 through 4.
Yes.
That's fine.
Second.
Comments, questions on that motion? Yes, sir.
Well, comment, yeah, well, that's fine, makes sense, but then your deputies are being paid the same as almost a clerk and treasurer.
They do quite a bit of work.
You're saying treasurer, Yorkville.
I'm just saying that deputies do quite a bit of work. That's an issue we conversation.
Clerk does.
We don't even have a deputy treasurer. do we?
We don't, but it would be codified if we ever needed one. It is currently codified at, I think it's at $2,900.
Yes.
Just to clarify, basically, then the only increase would be to the deputy clerk, and then for special meetings.
Yes.
Now, for the deputy clerk, would that be, how does that apply? She's not affected by an election,
It'd be her next appointment.
your next appointment, okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Weren't we going to leave deputy treasurer in and just do that in the code, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Right. Oh, I thought you said take it out.
No.
With the motion.
The motion's on to take out 1 through 4.
Yeah, motion for. All right, so now we are voting on if there's no further conversation, voting on an amendment. Roll call.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Coe.
Aye.
Teeling. Nay. Funkhauser.
Yay.
Cat.
Aye.
Blosimo.
Yay.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Motion to amend carries.
Okay, now we're back to the original amended motion. Roll call, please.
Munns.
Which ones are we voting on, though?
Main motion.
Spears.
Aye.
Blosimo.
Aye.
Cat.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Teeling. Nay. Coe.
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have no Public Works Committee report, Economic Development Committee report.
Yes, Your Honor. Now we're going to go over, Kathy, go with the first one. Go with the first, Missouri Bureau.
Economic development, yes. First one on the agenda, version 1, is the 5-year.
Do we want to talk about the?
Oh, we got the bids.
We have the bids, the RFP openings. There's no motion to amend for it. There's discussion on the sale of lot 6 Van Emmett Street.
And if I could, now that I've had a chance to review it, it was pointed out to me that for the parking lot, West Alley, so that's lot 6, the purchase price as bid by the proposer is $13,500, and they actually are proposing to improve the parking lot in accordance with their bid. So it's a contingency on the bid. They will purchase it and improve it. So the old jail bid for the next agenda item was more or less as I explained it. So there's some good detail in there about them renovating it, keeping its historic importance. So they are committing to $250,000 worth of improvements to the property if we give that to them for free.
I just have a question. I think the heading is wrong on the, that's why I was confused. It says acquisition of lot 6, but that's on the bid for the old jail.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so the header on A is titled incorrectly, but
Everything else on that is.
Albertina?
I just also wanted to point out that I read in here already that if we have to pay back the grant, that would come out of the $250,000. It would be over about that. just out of it. And then, we got a black and white copy, because I know the original had like a yellow where the parking lot was. Black and white. It's this one.
Yeah, 27 Van End Street, and then there's Cobblestone.
All right.
So we're talking about the parking lot first. I don't have any thoughts, concerns, questions. Is the parking lot behind Cobblestone Bakery?
So, in a nutshell, we would get $13,500 for the parking lot. And they promised to put about $15,000 to $25,000 in to redo it, rip it up, and make it a fresh new lot.
Correct.
And it gets back on the tax roll.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's basically the deal. We don't get any replacement spots. So we lose 50 spots.
That's a parking lot where the well is, the
Correct.
pumping station. So what happens with that? It just stays there?
You know, the small house would stay there, but we would have to talk, if we went this way, we'd have to talk to the buyer about some sort of access rights. You know, 'cause I know once a year, Gravity, you probably speak to a buyer and me, so we pull that pump every couple of years for maintenance. So we would have to have some terminology or some language in any contract that says we need access to the pump house.
The parking lot itself, the lot that we drew up, does not include the driveway that we consider the west alley. So that driveway actually stretches all the way from Van Emmon up to Hydraulic Street. So we would retain right away on that, and then additionally, like the mayor said, the pump house would be impacted. So we'd still have access to it. The one thing that we talked about from an internal level that we would have to make sure as part of any purchase agreement would be that we have rights, obviously, to tear up the parking lot at our future cost if we ever had to access utilities below the parking lot, which is the situation we're faced with now, even though we don't.
Have we had an appraisal done of the lot or the land to see what it's valued or?
We've not.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it definitely fits into the overall downtown plan of cleaning it up, making it look better. Because, well, we actually, a couple times when we try to get the back there, you're potholes and gravel. It's not really a traffic place to move traffic. Yeah, that's it.
So we focus on business owner, and the ones we are building another parking lot, just kitty corner from that, that it will have 20 or 22 stalls.
It's not a buildable lot, which is tremendous, correct? It's absolutely not a buildable lot, and because of that, its value is minimal for anything under that.
Do we know what it would provide as far as property tax revenue?
No, we haven't done that calculation yet either.
Any other comments, questions on it? What are you looking for? Are you looking for some sort of direction?
Yeah, direction to at least proceed with drafting finalized purchase agreement. This proposer was actually nice enough to draft up their own, so your direction, I'd have Kathy review it and then bring it back to a future committee or city council meeting.
We would want to have a contract with the license accepted and the direction given with all of the caveats as already discussed. Right-of-way, easement access, the ability to repair and replace if necessary to service any city utility.
Yes, sir.
I guess my only concern is, and I got no problem selling the parking lot, I think Rick's doing a great job out there, and doing a nice job with it. I guess my only concern is, he has to sell something that I don't know what it's worth. I mean, it's kind of like the first, one of the criticisms I had about the old caboose, you know, and we bought it for $10,000 and we were told it was $10,000 by the seller. That's why we paid $10,000. So now we're kind of doing the same thing. I don't know if this parking lot's worth $5,000 and we're getting a great deal, or if it's worth $40,000 and we're getting ripped off. That's really my own concern. I don't know if it's near market price for the land.
10,000 square feet, how many square feet are in an acre?
An acre is 204 by 204.
Acre is 43,560 square feet. This is a little over a tenth of an acre. I'll tell you what it's worth, Carl. It's worth $13,500. That's the only bid we had. I mean, if you went up for RFP, nobody bid on it. It's worth what someone will pay you for it. I don't know what I'm going to do, so it's worth $20,000.
Well, I'm not saying it's worth $20,000. I'm saying I don't know what it's worth.
Yeah, I didn't know by an acre.
Tenth of an acre, then make that $130,000 for an acre for an alley. So, not real estate, but very reasonable. It would be more than that.
Plus the other thing is we do have to plow this and stuff right now, right? And then if this is sold, that goes away, right?
Go on, room. Any thoughts? Move forward? Keep it? Go forward with sales contract? I'll try to win this Machuski if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think I personally would go with that. It'll get repaired and it'll take it off of, like you said, the plowing and.
Now I know why Marty's in sales. I guess it's $13,500 for a 10th acre, $135,000 for an acre. Nobody's paying $135,000 for an acre nowadays, so.
Could I ask Eric his thoughts? I mean, Eric and I have discussed various parking lots and everything, and I'd like to have his thoughts.
I would actually like a chance to really read through this, but on the surface, great. It takes a burden off of our guys. I would like access at all times to the parking lot and be able, I would like to have the ability, 5 years ago, we had to actually close that parking lot for about 3 weeks while we pulled that whole well up when it was down. So there has to be a provision in there for something of that nature. I mean, there's nothing they can do to prevent that. That's where they have to store the pipe vents.
Does that pump serve the surrounding properties?
That pump serves the whole parts of town.
So, yeah.
So it would be on.
So to keep you from doing that would not be in any property owner's interest, correct?
Right. Those are just a few of the thoughts right off the bat.
Thank you. I would then go ahead with that.
Yeah, I'm good with this. My biggest concern is that we have language that assures us it remains a public lot for all residents. As long as that language is in there, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it. See.
I'm fine with selling the parking lot. I don't really, I mean, it's going to be used for the businesses that are down there. Most of it, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, some people might want to park there, but it's mostly for people, businesses anyway.
Well, I think you have your direction. We'll come back to us in the form of a sales agreement. Okay then. Next, let's talk about the jail. So, the board outlined, I mean, we're getting a guarantee of an investment of $250,000. If we do have to pay back the backup grant, that's $64,000 comes out of that $250,000. Again, we're taking the building that's non-architectural and putting it on architecturals. How much questions?
I would like to talk to the Historical Society. Was it
the Illinois Historic
See if we can get it on the
Preservation
rolls,
Agency, the
because I think
state
that's
government
important.
that carries out the National Historic Preservation.
Yeah, I think that'll provide some security for it too, because I really want this building to stay intact and be what it is. But, so I think that's a good idea to wait and talk to them and see if we can get it on the registry. And I think that would be good for the buyer as well, it sounds like. At least it'll give us time to find out about that. That would help.
Yeah, Mr. Tolson, say you wanted to speak.
Yeah, did you want to say something now, or you want to hear some discussion? Or anyone else have any comments? I mean,
Depends what he said.
You never had an opinion on jail, do you, Colin?
Me, an opinion on the jail?
Hey, who's next?
My name is Rick Tellefson, Imperial Investments. The only thing I can say, and I always like to do it this way, is just go down and check downtown, look what we're trying to do. It's a very high risk, high maintenance, high capital, very intensive development that we're trying to do. Very difficult to develop, preserving all that we can. My goal would be to preserve as much history as you can. With the things coming forward and the development, which is going much slower than I hoped, but you'll see a real attention paid to the city where we're at, to the history here downtown. My motives, although some people would impugn those as wild and crazy, I believe they're laudable. There's a reason someone wants to come in and actually do this and spend this kind of money with a return that is a long way, far away. So, for those who, on the historic, I would work with anyone, surely. Look, the tax rates, I think the calculation was mine would be 53% if Congress doesn't act. So anything in a tax rebate would be helpful. I would be wide open to any of those. We have looked in preliminarily to some of those things. They seem difficult, like with everything else with the state, the federal government, there seems to be a difficulty jumping hoops. But we would work with the Historical Society. It would be something in which we would like, even the courthouse, if you've been in the courthouse, which I think is totally underutilized for the beauty of that building, what it possesses, somehow creating a very, very neat position in Yorkville to be able to utilize that and showcase that. So that's the ultimate goal of it. Additionally, we have the Larson House, which is on the hill in front, which, as your notes say, potentially a community event center. So all of that will be tied into really renovating that whole area and that hill to support a beautiful courthouse and aesthetically really improve it. So it's not coming in and trying to bulldoze a historical structure. That wouldn't be I'm deeply, deeply dedicated to preserving those kinds of things. So any questions that you want to ask?
Anyone have questions?
How do you feel about having it on the state registry?
I don't know what's involved, what restrictions they would put on. I don't know. We have to look at it if there's, a lot of costs added onto that. We just have to look at it and say what's realistic to do. I have never done that before, so I don't know. If there's a 20% tax rebate, I'd be all in.
Well, so you would be interested in finding out what.
Absolutely. Anything like that would be wonderful.
Okay, well, at this point, we're really just looking for direction. And these guys may be working while we're here back from the historic registry. I guess we need to know the feelings of the council, when people are ultimately in favor of starting with the building or not. And with the guarantee that someone's going to put some money into it. and not natural sale price. Basically, we're protected if we have to get back to $64,000. I mean, we're protected. It comes off the top of what would have been invested in the building. So, we have no other comments or questions. I'll go around.
Well, I guess my only question about the $64,000 is we have set up some sort of parameters around that because let's say we do the sale or transfer and then we don't hear from the state of Illinois, which we know is not the most efficient being on the face of the earth. Mr. Tolson invests $250,000 into this building and everything's going hunky-dory. And 6 years from now, we get notice from the state, oh, by the way, you owe us $64,000. Now we got ourselves in a pickle. The agreement we have is Mr. Tolson will pay for it, but he's already put out $250,000. So we either have to work something out, or he's only going to put out $190,000 and sit on 60. And, you know, 10 years down the road, the state might come out. So I think that needs to be tweaked. Everybody knows I'm in favor of selling the jail. I'm happy to hear he doesn't intend to bulldoze it, he intends to renovate it, he intends to put money into it. That's what I wanted to see from day one, and I've argued from day one it needs to be done by private industry, not by the state. That's really been my bone to pick with buying the jail. So I think it's a win-win if we can figure out a way to work that issue.
I mean, I would argue that grant won't be paid back. That grant was for tourism. I think renovating it, the way Mr. Carlson speaks of, only promotes tourism. So is there a contact that we have at the DECO?
Yeah. I got to take a rule.
Yeah. Yes, I'm talking about right away.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's something that we need to find out before we do anything too. I think it's important to find that out. Also, there was something else that I wanted to say about it, but I can't remember what it is. I will come back to you.
All right, so in general, it sounds like everyone's moving forward. Correct? We just need some more information and some more stuff, and we'll bring it back.
Quick question of clarification. Is this just for the building or is it for the entire site?
That was my question.
Just for the building.
Because the diagram shows the entire site. Make sure.
Yeah, there might be the PIN number, but I know that we had intended to subdivide it.
That's what I thought.
Right. We would subdivide it from the parking lot and stay city.
That was actually my other question. And then, with that, when is that going to start? Do we know?
Construction should start in the spring, so we're going through and finishing up design engineering this winter.
Okay. All right, that's it on the parking lot in the jail. Next.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution approving the sixth amended intergovernmental cooperation agreement with a term length of 5 years as presented in version 1 and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute.
Do we have a second?
We could just throw out there that this was a 3-1 negative vote on the committee, not all committee, which I think the whole council, 3 of the 4 members of the committee definitely thought we should go with 3-year with 2 1-year options, which is in essence a 5-year contract if we're doing our job. And he's going to end the 3 years, nobody's going to walk away from it until we see the progress that we supposed to get from it.
Comments or questions on this? Yes.
The committee voted against what you just proposed. Why are we voting on it first?
Well, we brought the whole city council with a negative recommendation.
Okay, why don't we, it's something we just don't move ahead with the recommendation.
Well, that's what I originally wanted to, for whatever reason.
Well, we discussed and this has been a hot button issue. And, sometimes people have complained that, things shouldn't die in committee or things should. We just thought it would be fair. It failed in committee 3-1. We just felt it would be fair to the other 4 aldermen that weren't there to have an opportunity to put some input into it. But, it failed. I agree.
We did include an agreement in there, which is the version 2 motion that includes the 3-year term. So because of the opinion from Kathy that there have already been 8 other municipalities who have approved a 5-year term, I believe we did the 9th, and there's still a 10th one outstanding. We just wanted to make sure that you had both agreements in front of you and that you had language for both motions, should you choose to accept a 5-year or a 3-year. So you can go either way on the motion.
Our amendment, as I drafted, with 3 years, with 2 years, automatic renewal of 2 years, would force this agreement to go back to the other participating municipalities. Because we've gotten a contract, we've made an amendment, so we have to go back. And that's the reason there's a 2 here, so that you understand that by adopting the 3-year, 2-year renewal provision, it doesn't mean it's accepted by the convention.
Well, and once again, I don't like the 5-year. I'm going to vote against the 5-year. I've said that the entire time. And when we brought it up, sometimes we were looked at it like we had a three-headed dog or something here. I mean, when you look at the 6th Amendment intergovernmental agreement itself, when you look back in 1992 when they did it, it says that the intergovernmental agreement with the municipalities is extended from December 15, 1992 through December 15, 1997, with the exception of North Aurora, which only agrees to extend the term from December 15, 1982 to December 15, 1995. They did a 3-year extension.
Yep.
We're not asking for anything that hasn't been done before. It's not that complicated. We ask for 3 years, they do a good job, we keep them on. They don't do a good job like we've unfortunately experienced for the last 20 years, we move on. So instead of, and I understand you guys come here from the hotels and saying you want this and that's great, and from Raging Wage, I encourage you to show up to their meetings and tell them to accept the 3 years that puts them on the shorter lease to make sure they're doing a good job for you. Because if we approve 5 years and 6 months from now they drop the ball and do nothing for you, you're stuck with them for the next 4.5 years. So I personally think that we're doing you guys a favor by putting them on a shorter leash, because history is the best example of what's going to happen in the future. And their history with the city of Yorkville is not that impressive. I'm not saying things aren't turning around. I think they are. But before I'm willing to commit to 5 years, I want to make sure things are turning around. So I think it's more than reasonable. It's something they've done before. I say we reject the 5 years and propose 3 years to them, and go show up at their meetings and tell them to accept the 3 years.
I agree. This has been a very touchy subject for a while. I sit on the board of the AACVB. I've been through these meetings, the discussions. I've been one of the proponents of the 3-year term. I'm not backing down off of that. We have not been, as a generality from this board, or the council, backed off of that. If we pass a 3-year with the option to renew for 2 additional years, it's in essence a 5-year term. If they do their job right, they do it well, we'll continue moving forward. I've been lobbied heavily by local businesses that do see the benefit as of late. They see the direction that the CVB is going. They want us to stay in it. And like Carla said, petition, lobby to the CVB to accept the 3-year term. That's where this is going to come down to. They can take our term with the option to renew for the 4th and 5th year, or they can pass the Yorkville's out. Several of the ones that are petitioned to me sit on the board as well. They do have a voice, petition to the CVB. We want to do what's best for Yorkville, for our businesses, and for our residents. And that's what we're trying to do. That's where this 3-year term is. We're looking out for the best interest and the best assets that we have. And I'm going to be voting on the 3-year term with the option for 2 additional years.
Two questions. Can we pull out of this and have just our own agreement with them? Do we have to stay in with all the other cities? Because you said it has to go back to them.
We have a separate agreement with them.
Yeah, just one-on-one?
I don't know. I would have to study the bylaws, but it would be my understanding that that would not be acceptable to their board, because they would have to deal with us separately from the other participating municipalities. So I mean, if that was their council, I would recommend it be.
And then question number 2, did Aurora sign this yet? Thank you.
I just had another thing for the amendment that you drafted, Kathy, for the 3-1-1 options, with the give them notice by October 15, 2015, give them notice by October 15. 16th. That's fine, but you have on here, unless Yorkville sends notice to the municipalities on or before October 15th. Can we just do it that we send notice to the Visitors Bureau?
The Visitors Bureau this is an intergovernmental agreement, if you look at it, just between the municipalities. That's why it's stated that way. It says, intergovernmental agreement by and between Aurora, Batavia, Plano, Sandwich, Yorkville, Big Rock, Montgomery, North Aurora, Sherwood Grove, all being municipalities.
Okay.
The only reason it's stated that way.
Okay.
Because I looked at that too.
Because then we have to send out all those notices, but that's fine. Okay.
Alderman Quinn, Alderman Spears?
I would not support a 5-year contract as well, but if we go with the 3-year contract, I may consider it. My feelings are we already had a presentation in here. If they don't accept this, we had the gentleman that came in with his business that was willing, to take this on and publicize Yorkville, and I thought he was very good, and we could go out for RFPs on that. It's not like, we're not really tied in to the Aurora Convention Bureau. And I would agree, as long as I sat on the council, they didn't really do anything for Yorkville.
I think that we just need to be cautious for our businesses. I understand what you're saying on the 3-year contract, but if this does not get approved by the Bureau, our hotels and our other attractions, they're not going to have that far-reaching draw that they have now if we go with someone local. There's a big pool of money when you're talking about a bureau that combines many different municipalities, including ours, and just us, having our tax dollars going for that. This is much more far-reaching, and I just think we need to be cautious and careful for our businesses because they're the ones that are going to lose out if we don't go with this, if we don't get our way and get the 3-year contract.
Just going to add that if we hadn't had issues with them in the past, we wouldn't be considering a 3-year deal here. And it's my opinion that it's actually not a 3-year deal, it's a 5-year deal with two opt-out periods for us. So if they do their job, it's a 5-year period. So I'm going for version 2. I think it's reasonable in light of the problems we've had, and hopefully they'll accept it. If not, we'll figure out something.
Just to echo something that Alderman Keeling said, we do need to be cautious of our businesses. They have called me about this. They do see a benefit of this. And if we go with a local company, we may not get the benefit that they have seen with the CVB. And that's where I am with the 3-year, that we are extending ourselves to commit to them for 3 more years with the option to commit further. We're not backing out. We're just tightening the reins and looking at it so that we can truly look out for what the best interest is of our businesses, make sure they're getting what they need out. And they stated that they do see a benefit. They've seen some things good that have been happening since Director Hamilton has been in place. So that's where I'm at with the 3 years, and I do agree that yes, we could potentially lose out a little for them if we go locally as compared to a more regional network.
And just to point out to what Alderman Cott said about, in essence, it's a 5-year deal, we purposely asked for it to be drafted the way it was drafted, just for that purpose. If we do nothing, it's a 5-year deal. We don't have to, 3 years from now, say, yes, you guys are doing a good job, stay in there, do what you need to. If we do nothing, this thing goes on for 5 years. The only way it's going to backfire is if something happens with the Bureau that raises our attention to the level that we decide we need to pull the chute on this and get out. So if things are going well, we see progress, things are going in the right direction, we have to do nothing, and this is a 5-year contract. We made it, we could have made it where it's 3 years, and then we have to approve a 4th year, and then we have to approve a 5th year. And we didn't do it that way. So we specifically drafted it the way it is to give them as much latitude as possible, and I think it's fair.
I agree with the last statement too. I think it's essentially a 5-year deal as long as they do their job.
As this committee said, basically everybody said.
Do you want to say something before the vote? Or no? Okay, so we're voting on a straight 5-year deal.
Gary.
Could I guess the only thing, I'm with Raging Waves also. My name is Albert Sheldon, one of the operations managers. I get what everybody says about if you do nothing, it's a 5-year. But what the question that I throw out to all of you is, what is your frame of measurement? What constitutes good versus what constitutes them falling down and not performing up to their ability?
I can answer it for my vote. It's you. You're coming to me saying, these guys aren't doing anything for me. Where's our tax dollars going? These guys aren't working out. They're still doing their same old. So if you guys are complaining, that's when I'm going to step in. If you guys are happy and business is coming your way and things are going well, why am I going to do anything? So my measurement is the businesses. I know you guys don't necessarily agree with me, and I understand that, but if you look as to why I'm doing it, it's to protect you based on the history we've had with this organization. So if you're complaining, I'm going to open my big mouth here and yank the contract. If you're not complaining, you're telling me they're doing a great job and people are coming from all over the state and zip codes are popping up all over the place and people are buying tickets at your establishment, great. I'll keep my mouth shut.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that now because they are here telling you that they are doing a good job. They have seen an improvement since the department took over. They've been coming in and telling us that for the last, I don't know how long since this has been going on.
And what's their recourse if we approve a 5-year contract and a year from now, they're not getting the services they want? What's their recourse?
So look at the whole base of work, 20 years. Sure, it's improved the last 6 months when the contract.
No, but you called me out. What's the answer my question? What's their recourse if a year from now
What's
they're
their
not doing
recourse if we hire another company and they're getting not as good a service as they're getting now?
We're only going to hire another company if 3 years from now they're not doing their jobs.
Well, in the meantime, they already have a base right now with the Bureau has already gone out and they have already seen what's happened and they've already had new customers coming in. And if we pull that away and go with someone else, that person's going to start from scratch, from zero.
We're not pulling that away. See, this is the problem with how this argument has been structured. Everybody's looking at the Yorkville City Council and saying, look at what you guys are doing. We're not pulling anything away. We're offering in 5 years. We just have an option out. The cameras need to be turned. The focus needs to be turned on the Visitors Bureau. They're the ones folding their arms like petulant children, holding their breath, saying, you take our 5 years or we're taking our ball and going home. Well, I'm calling their bluff. Period.
Okay, you're calling
And if they take their ball and go home,
our businesses.
and you talk about the pooling of money, the two biggest payers into this organization haven't yet committed, Aurora and Yorkville. So there's something awry with that organization. So yes, I'm keeping them on a short leash to protect our businesses, not to harm them. So if that's not good enough for them,
I think another thing we have to keep in mind is they've been before us how many times, and for lack of better words, we get the dog and pony show. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we went ahead and we approved, past councils have approved it, and then they disappear. We never see them again until it's time for it to renew. And that's what I'd like to see end, and I've asked Chris, I think they need to be accountable. They need to come in here every quarter and present to us so we know what's going on. And that's why why I support the theaters, because if we don't see that, we don't get those presentations. Chris is trying to do, he's trying to do a really good job, but what if, we talked in committee, what if he gets offered another job and, heads out of someplace else to run it, and we don't get the service? I think this just protects us, we can look at it, because I think, people that have been here and have seen it, it's just historical that way. We get a big rush to renew, and then they disappear. So that's what I'm trying to avoid.
They were supposed to come quarterly and present to us that.
When was the last time between the last contract and now we have seen anybody? We haven't. In the last 5 years. Can anybody remember when they've come other than we signed the contract 5 years ago? or whenever it was.
Yeah, fine. And then the time before that.
I want to some pink roast.
Okay, I think we discussed that one. Yeah, I guess,
I'm sorry. We do now have 4 members on the board, at 25 total board members. So Yorkville's got a big push going on at this point in time. And that's a big push for us. That's really huge that we have a good majority in that. I think only Aurora has that many people, and that's because there's so many municipalities in there at this point in time. We also, I mean, right now, the direction that we're going with the board, we have the opportunity to really get the push going for Yorkville. And I think one of the things that we need to be, I actually want to challenge you guys, is to, and when we do sign, hopefully that's the opportunity that we have, is to keep them up to date on that by asking them questions also. We have a board member that sits, or you guys have a alderman that sits on the board and you're saying you haven't gotten this information. Well, maybe we need to go to him more, or to the other board members that you have now, and ask those questions. Where are we at? What are we doing? What are we seeing? And that's something that we're doing at the hotel level already. We've set up quarterly meetings with our sales department and with their sales department that are already in progress. 4 Yorkville members that are attending meetings now at this point in time. For every one of the board meetings, it's once a month. And I think it's an opportunity that we have to really push forward. And I understand the 5-year agreement. I don't really want to jump into that. It's something that, I mean, we don't want to lose this, because the other alternative, I know Mr. Pierce has spoken that was a good opportunity. Really, it's not. My business, and I produce over 80% of the Yorkville funds, don't come from Yorkville. They come outside the area where the CBB is reaching. Not what we're going to pull in from here. You can make up that 80% from Yorkville, that's great. Otherwise, I don't see it happening, to be honest. So.
That's a good point, though. We have more representation from Yorkville on the board.
We do.
Which is going to ensure that they're doing more things for Yorkville, which will ensure in 3 years, nobody here or the future council is going to go, okay, let's get rid of them. So in essence, it's a positive recommendation, say we want it.
My worry is if we don't improve, we jump back to the nothing, basically.
We're going to approve. If we approve in 3 years, it's up to them to approve it. That's not us.
And what if that's not an option? Then I can go back to 0.
Why would they have an option why would they're saying like, they're playing hardball, saying we have no option, but they expect us to bend and be flexible. They need to bend a little and be flexible too. Both parties bend.
I think they have been flexible. They've added 2 more seats on the board, 3 more seats on the board.
We're being flexible, they say, okay, just not.
You were so close. You were so close there. They haven't added the seats. If you read the bylaws, we have 2 seats. I mean, I understand now we have 4 seats, and it's great. But the bylaws say we have 2. So it's fine and dandy that we have 4 seats today, but they can yank 2 seats from us next year when the chairman reappoints those positions. So I'm glad we have 4 now, but I look at the corners of the contract and see what we're guaranteed. And in the bylaws, we're guaranteed 2. So I'm kind of comfortable we have 4, but there's no guarantee we're going to have 4 3 years from now. Okay, so that's another area where you got to read what's in the agreement, because they tell you we have 4 seats, and we do have 4 seats, but we don't have 4 seats guaranteed. We only have 2 seats guaranteed, which 4 out of 25 is a lot better than 2 out of 25. So these are the little things that I just want to make sure we're protected against. Period.
Okay, we all know where this is going, so if there's no further comments, we will vote on the straight 5. Roll call, please.
Bunkhauser.
Nay.
Teeling.
Aye.
Koch.
Nay.
Milszewski.
Nay.
Munns.
Nay.
Spears.
Nay.
Wolfmo.
Nay.
Pat.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Okay, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution approving the 6th amended intergovernmental cooperation agreement with a term length of 3 years with 2 one-year terms that would automatically be renewed if the city does not terminate the agreement in writing as presented in version 2 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
Second. Comments or questions on this?
I just want to strongly urge the CVB and any of those entities that do have a role with them, contact them and strongly urge them to approve this this proposal of the 3-year. This is where the membership of the CVB comes in very, very strongly. Petition to the board, especially the executive board, ask them to approve the ordinance that we are about to vote on here.
And the Carroll going out, it's not unprecedented. North Florida, the same thing.
I was just going to tell them, to remind them that in 1992, they did the exact same thing and approved it.
And
For
probably
anything
the
different.
chairman, Dale Gorman, was involved with North Florida back then, so. Okay. Roll call, please.
Coe,
Yeah.
Teeling. Funkhauser.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Walsall.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Lunds.
Aye.
Milczewski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. There no public safety committee report, no admin report. Report, and nothing, I'm assuming?
No report.
No park board, plan commission, nothing. DBA, no report. City council, city clerk,
No report.
no report. City treasurer, no report. And community and liaison reports. Community and liaison reports, none. Staff reports.
Do have one item, Your Honor. This Friday is Holiday in the Stars. Downtown from 5 to 9 p.m. We've got Santa, vendors, some performances by local groups, and most importantly, the new edition fireworks presented and sponsored by Boomba. So it's going to be shot over the river. It's going to be quite the performance. That's all I have.
Very nice. Liaison report?
No, just other than.
Okay. Do we have no staff reports? Additional business? Yes, sir.
I just had a question. I've been seeing all the construction going on, and the posts going in, and the lights going in and all that on 47. What's with the cameras? I mean, there's cameras on all the posts on the roads now, you know.
They're going to be interconnected
With what?
with each other
For what?
to move traffic more efficiently during the construction project.
Okay, so that's a sensor, it's not a camera? Because, I mean, it looks like a full-out security camera.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I just don't like Big Brother watching me as I drive down the street. I mean, call me paranoid, I don't like the state of Illinois putting out cameras anywhere.
No, they're just sensors that'll relay the information between the 3 and 4 that are interconnected.
That makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Got the answer to my question, thank you.
Additional business?
That's right, Ms. Sensich, I don't trust the state of Illinois.
Just one thing regarding Route 47. I sat in on a chamber meeting the other day with IDOT. They had their community relations person out there to talk to the local businesses about the development. There's a presentation, a Q&A, so it's very informative, a very good way to interact. They are looking to work with the local businesses. They provided contact information for any of the downtown businesses or those otherwise affected by the direct development, redevelopment of Route 47. So it's very good to see that IDOT has stepped forward and is making those moves to communicate with the public, the local businesses.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Eric, we had a call, actually, Chris, you had a call too from Fox Hill, the townhomes, about people parking in front of mailboxes. What is our procedure for?
Well, I know right where you're talking about there on Cottonwood Trail. And we talked about this earlier this summer. There's one or two things you can do. Number one, we can't put them in a parking center, pretty narrow street, and there's not much parking elsewhere up and down that whole street. And if you look the way where they put the mailboxes, they put them in one of 2 spots you can park for about 3 townhome widths. If they would just move the mailboxes over, split the mailboxes, you wouldn't lose any parking areas and everybody be able to get to their mail.
Supposedly the problem is that people from across the street park in front of mailboxes, they can get their mail, but then people can't get theirs.
That's why if you just, there's a gang of 4 that actually, there's a unit, 4-unit townhome and a 4-unit townhome, and the 2 on this end and the 2 on this end are that 4-gang unit. If you just split those up and put them next to the driveways, the problem would go away, and that's exactly what we told you this summer.
We looked into it too. We don't necessarily have jurisdiction over being able to write parking tickets for that. That's something that the post office has to do. When somebody parks there, if they're delivering mail at the same time.
Well, it's in their HOA too, they can say pursue that.
Right.
If you park in front of your mailbox, mail will keep going.
Yeah, that's a solution too. So.
Any other additional business, Ms. Rose?
I do have one quick one again for Eric. Any estimate on when the Countryside Parkway arrows are going to be painted?
That's next spring. All Countryside next spring.
The arrows, the turn
The turn arrows,
arrows?
everything's next spring. So it's all gonna get, a lot of it's gonna get actually torn up in 47, right up next to the intersections that are gonna be all torn up. And we have to use that, we're gonna use that as an MFT project. And we get to do an MFT project, when we brought it up this fall, we just looked at it this time of the year, which is you told us we're gonna paint. So that's gonna be a whole project for next spring.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? I have one quick update, on the rec center, obviously everyone knows that the rec center vote had failed at about a 5% margin, about 300 votes. So I met with our recreation staff today and started talking about an exit strategy, you know, what we need to do next. We will contact the walkers, I believe they're out of town right now, but as soon as they get back into town, I'll sit down with them and start talking about the transition process. In the meantime, we're going to start moving staff, full-time staff, back to the post office and utilize the office space at the post office. December catalog was due to go out this week, actually. We're going to delay the December recreation catalog until we figure out what exactly we're doing, what we're going to be offering. But when and if the catalog comes out, there will be a big drop in recreational programming. Offerings will be greatly reduced as we go through this transition. That's it. That's about all I know right now. More to come as we meet with staff and work through this. That's it. Do we need the executive session? Okay, we have no executive session. Do we have any additional citizen comments on items other than agenda items? Yes, sir.
I just need my postcard. Thank you.
Let's say that's Mr. Collison. Okay, nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?